Welcome all. Last video I have discussed about shallow foundation, and in this video I am going to discuss about deep foundation.
It's a type of foundation in which depth is greater than width of foundation. Deep foundation is adopted when there is a layer of weak soil at the surface and this layer cannot support the weight of the building, so it is necessary to transfer the load of building to a soil of high bearing capacity. The common type of deep foundations are pile foundation and well foundation. This figure shows the pile foundation, which is mainly used in bridges. This pile foundation is adopted when foundation soil is very loose soil but have a hard strata at a reasonable depth, say 10 or 15 meter, or when the dead load and live load acting on the structure are very high, or when the position of water table is fluctuating, or if raft of grillage foundations are not economical. The main components of a pile foundations are pile and pile cap. A pile is a long slender member made up of either timber, steel or concrete, which may be cast in situ or driven into the site. And this pile transfers the load of structure to a required deeper layer. A pile cap is a thick concrete mat that rests on piles and is used to transfer the load from superstructure to the piling. In this figure, you can see the pile foundation in which load from the structure is transferred through the pile cap to a number of piles. Piles are classified based on the function load bearing and non-load bearing. End bearing piles and friction piles comes under the category load bearing piles, and sheet piles, anchor piles, batter piles, fender piles and compaction piles are non-load bearing piles. Now we can discuss each one detailedly. End-bearing piles are driven into the ground until a hard stratum is reached, such as rock or gravels. It acts as a pillar supporting the superstructure and transmit the load to the hard stratum. In this figure, you can see the load from the superstructure is transferred to the hard strata. Friction pile generates sufficient load-bearing capacity by friction, so it does not rest on hard stratum. Friction piles are driven at a depth where the total frictional resistance developed on the site is equal to load coming on the pile. The figure shows a friction pile in which load from the structure is resisted by the friction between surface of the pile and the surrounding soil.
Next category is anchor piles. These piles are used to provide anchorage against pulling or pushing forces caused due to retaining earth. This is all about pile foundation. Next type of deep foundation is well foundation.
It is a watertight structure made up of wood, steel or reinforced concrete. It is generally provided below water level for bridges. These are some figures showing well foundation. This figure shows the main components of a well foundation. Starting from the top, you can see an RCC slab, which is the well cap. Below that, there is a top plug, which consists of concrete. Sides of well foundation is covered with a well steining, which is a wall made up of RCC or masonry. The space between well steining is filled with sand. You can see a well curb and a cutting edge below the well steining. The bottom edge also covered with concrete. This is all about foundation. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.